Hello, and welcome to Chabot News for February 26, 2026. My name is Chantal, and today we'll be covering Jeffrey Epstein's ties to Harvard, a baby elephant has been born, and the passing of Jesse Jackson. In entertainment news, Manny Torres will tell you about Bad Bunny entering the movie business. And finally, in sports news, Chris has the latest updates on Tony Clarkson's resignation. All that and more coming up in today's edition of Chabot News. In our top story this week, Jeffrey Epstein's ties to Harvard appear deeper than previously known. Newly released Justice Department files show Epstein continued directing money toward Harvard scientists, years after the university said it cut ties with him. Emails detail plans for an investment company to be run by Harvard geneticist George Church. Newly released files also support a Harvard investigation that found Epstein helped biologist Martin Nowak raise funds, and previously unreleased photos appear to show Church and Nowak visited Epstein's infamous private island. Church and Nowak have not commented on the documents, and neither have been accused of wrongdoing. Both still work at Harvard University. University officials say they are reviewing the latest documents and weighing next steps. There is still no end in sight for the partial federal government shutdown. On Tuesday, the White House rejected the Democrats' latest offer to end the shutdown, and a White House official says the two sides remain, quote, pretty far apart. The official said that the Trump administration remains interested in good faith conversations to end the shutdown before Americans start to feel the impacts. But they maintain that administration is committed to continued immigration enforcement. Democrats want additional oversight of immigration operations before they will help pass funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Some of their demands include having federal agents wear body cameras and remove their masks, and tighten rules around warrants for searches and arrests. The Department of Homeland Security oversees a number of departments that include FEMA, the Transportation Security Administration, and ICE. Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington, D.C. has welcomed an adorable baby elephant this month. And now she has a name. After an online public vote, the name chosen for the Asian elephant calf is Linh Mai. It means spirit blossom in Vietnamese. With the naming campaign, the zoo raised nearly $60,000 in donations for Asian elephant conservation. The zoo says Linh Mai will make her public debut in the spring. Until she does, she will be behind the scenes, exploring her habitat and bonding with her mom and the rest of the herd. This birth is a major success for the endangered species, with fewer than 50,000 left in the wild. Now we go to Manny for this week's entertainment news.
Thanks, Chantal. Woody and Buzz Lightyear are back again. Pixar released the first official trailer for Toy Story 5 on Thursday. 7 years after the last installment, the gang is reuniting as their jobs are challenged by the electronics kids are obsessed with today. Director Andrew Stanton describes this film as an existential crisis for toys facing the reality of becoming obsolete in the digital age. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen return to lead the voice cast. Toy Story 5 opens in theaters on June 19th. Bad Bunny is now in the movie business. Music superstar Bad Bunny will take on his first leading film role in the historical drama Puerto Rico. The film is described as an epic Caribbean Western inspired by true events surrounding Puerto Rico's origins. Edward Norton, Javier Bardem, and Viggo Mortensen will also star in the film. And due to the lack of government support, the production may move to the Dominican Republic. A release date for Puerto Rico has not been announced. I'm Manny Torres with Entertainment News. Now back to you, Chantal.
Thanks, Manny. Chabot students who will be graduating soon might want to visit the graduation fair on campus for their graduation needs. Chabot will be hosting a graduation fair on March 11th and 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Student Hub located in Building 3800. The fair is a chance for soon-to-be graduates to order their cap, gown, tassel, and other regalia accessories, including announcement and invitation cards. Graduation photographers will be available for graduation portraits as well. Students looking to graduate this semester must apply by 11:59 p.m. on April 1st by submitting a request for degree certificate form to be on the list of eligible graduates and candidates. Even small amounts of daily movement can have a big impact on your health. Researchers look at what happened when people move just a little more each day. Data was analyzed from studies that followed tens of thousands of people in the US, Norway, Sweden, and the UK. The research found that adding just 5 minutes of moderate to vigorous daily activity could prevent up to 10% of all deaths across the population. Reducing daily sitting time by 30 minutes a day was also shown to prevent up to about 7% of deaths for some. The findings reinforce other research that makes a strong link between physical activity and longer life. You can get information about the study in the journal The Lancet. Now we go over to Greg with this week's top 5.
Thanks, Chantal. Here are some honorable mentions in my top 5 gangster movies. Pulp Fiction and Donnie Brasco and The Irishman are my honorable mentions. I am Greg Driscoll. Here are my top 5 gangster movies. Number 5, Boys in the Hood, a movie that showed just how rough the streets in South Central Los Angeles can be to grow up in, where anything can happen and will. The movie stars a young Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ice Cube, to name a few. Number 4, coming in at number 4, is Goodfellas, a movie based on a true story about Henry Hill growing up as a childhood idolizing the Italian mafia, hoping to one day have a crew and become a gangster. Henry got more than he asked for. The movie stars Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and Robert De Niro, to name a few. Next is Scarface. The movie shows how doing a favor for a powerful drug lord can lead you from rags to riches as Tony Montana grows his empire that gets out of control and gets taken out in the end. This movie stars a very young Al Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer. Number 2 is called American Gangster, starring Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, as Frank Lucas in 1968 brings a drug called Blue Magic to the streets and catches the attention of Richie Roberts, a cop with his own list of problems. Roberts connects all the dots to take down Lucas and have him strike a deal with the drug lord that keeps him from rotting for life. What a ride. And finally, at number 1 is the movie Public Enemies, the John Dillinger story starring Johnny Depp. The film portrays one of the most dangerous men ever, full of gunfights and bank robberies, with a roller coaster ride of a story with many twists and turns. It's a must-see movie. I'm Greg Driscoll. Now back to you, Chantal.
Thanks, Greg. High-stakes nuclear talks between the United States and Iran wrapped up on Tuesday. Fred Plagan has the latest from Geneva. Thanks for the latest details of the talks, Fred. These talks are progressing, but both the US and Iran are trying to make a hard stand. Only recently, the Iranian regime conducted a partial block of shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Blocking traffic through the strait could impact the international oil markets. 20% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Thousands of people lined the streets of Dusseldorf, Germany, for its annual Rose Monday parade. Think of it as Germany's version of Mardi Gras in the US, ahead of the start of Lent. But in Germany, the parades feature carnival floats that are meant to mock and poke fun at political leaders. As in years past, some of the floats took aim at Russian President Vladimir Putin. One float had Putin standing alongside President Donald Trump devouring Europe. Other floats took aim at Iran's regime. There was even a float dedicated to the late Jeffrey Epstein. The convicted sex offender was portrayed as an evil papier-mâché figure being resurrected. Another float showed Putin stabbing a court jester. A similar parade also took place Monday in Cologne. Pioneering civil rights leader Jesse Jackson died Tuesday at age 84. Jackson began his push for civil rights in his hometown of Greenville, South Carolina, as part of the Greenville 8. The group of young people helped desegregate the city's library system. Tina Terry sat down with one of them.
Growing up poor but loved, we never knew that we were poor, because we made a way, in the religious term, we made a way out of no way.
Doris D.D. Wright has lived her life making a way where there seemed to be none.
We had parents who loved us, and I'm sure that we used to scare them a lot, because I was arrested maybe 5 or 6 times.
This is a now famous mugshot from one of those arrests in 1960, after she and 7 other young people tried to use the whites-only library. She says the protest wasn't planned, but developed naturally when a young Jesse Jackson needed to do some research for a homework assignment.
We marched to the library, and of course they had a knack for shutting the lights off. That meant the library was closed. So we left, and our advisor, who was the Reverend James Hall, who still lives, as a matter of fact, he's in Philadelphia, he said, that's not why I sent you there. We want to make sure that you can use that library that your parents are paying taxes on. So we went back, and when we went back, they arrested us.
This picture shows the young people, now called the Greenville 8, at the Greenville County Jail. Their sacrifice led to desegregation of the Greenville library system.
And what people need to realize that the movement was carried on by the youth, because if our parents were to participate, they would lose their jobs.
She's proud of her friend Jesse Jackson, who went on to fight for civil rights on a larger stage.
Jesse was a leader, and I think that he was God chosen.
Thank you for that wonderful story, Tina. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster lowered flags over the Capitol to honor Jackson. On Tuesday, an immigration judge issued a ruling about the federal government's effort to deport a Columbia University student involved in student protests. The judge put a stop to Mohsen Madawi removal proceedings. He was detained last year and held for 2 weeks for his involvement in the 2024 student protest at Columbia against the war in Gaza. Madawi is Palestinian. At the time of his arrest, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Madawi could still be deported even though he was a lawful permanent resident. Rubio agreed Madawi's activities compromised U.S. foreign policy interests. The judge reportedly rejected the government's claim based on documents from Rubio that were not authenticated by the government. Madawi says the judge's ruling upholds a person's right to speak for peace and justice. the government could still appeal the ruling. Now let's go to Chris with sports.
Thanks, Chantal. Major League Baseball players are looking for a new union leader. MLB Players Association Executive Director Tony Clark resigned this week amid allegations of personal misconduct. An outside firm had earlier been retained in the wake of federal investigations. Sources say it was discovered that Clark had an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, who was also his sister-in-law. A Tuesday night statement from the union did not offer an explanation for the 53-year-old's sudden departure. Clark had led the players in the last 2 cycles of collective bargaining, and he was expected to be front and center in another negotiation with baseball's owners after this upcoming season. Meanwhile, Clark and baseball's union are part of a federal investigation into a licensing company founded by his union and the NFL's players' union. On Monday, February 23rd, mixed doubles curlers Corey Dropkin and Corey Thiese returned to Minnesota after winning silver at the Winter Games, a medal that made history for Team USA. As Sydney Witt reports, they were greeted by cheers, family hugs, and a community proud to see 2 of their own shine on the Olympic ice.
After a few flight delays, Team Corey and Corey are officially in the Northland, fresh off a silver medal win and also the ending ceremony to the Winter Games. At exactly 7:04, Duluth's mixed doubles duo Team Corey and Corey touched down in Duluth Monday night.
Hi!
Full of excitement and embellished in their Olympic hardware.
I definitely don't think it has sunk in for me quite yet. It was just such an incredible month, really, over there to be able to represent our country.
An overwhelmed Corey and Corey were welcomed home by dozens of friends and family members after living out their dreams in the mountains of Cortina, something they don't take lightly.
USA! There's certainly a big moment of the winning shot against Italy in the semifinal game where, we're just outpouring with emotion and, embracing each other on the ice and just kind of enjoying the moment.
Among the supporters decked out in red, white, and blue was Jamison Nicola, who takes curling lessons from Corey Dropkin. He says watching Team Corey and Corey on the Olympic stage was a moment he'll always remember.
I set my alarm clock for the night before, and it was like, I know I didn't want to, I wanted to keep sleeping, but I knew I still had to support him. It was very surreal.
Surreal and emotional moments as family embraced their Olympians. Corey Thiese's mom, Linda, who's not only proud of her daughter, but the impact they created for the sport.
I just want them to see how well received they were on TV, like playing curling, and how excited people are about curling because of how they did. And
the silver medalist made history as the first U.S. mixed doubles team to medal at the Olympics. Corey Thiese, also the first female curler to ever medal for Team USA.
And I'm just so proud of us and really proud and honored to be the first woman standing up there, and hope there's lots more coming after me.
And at the end of the day, the Duluth duo says it's the community support that made the journey worth it.
We wouldn't be here without the community around us. It takes a whole village to get to where we're at.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Through the lowest of lows and these big highs. We're just so happy to be home now.
Like Corey said, we did not get here alone.
Thanks, Sydney. The duo says the next chapter is simple: a little comfort food and taking a well-deserved break off the ice. That is it for the sports report this week. Now back to you, Chantal.
Thanks, Chris. Now in our final story this week, the Metallica Sphere rumors are true. The band announced a residency at the Las Vegas venue lasting 8 nights in October. Those dates are on Thursdays and Saturdays, and no songs will be repeated on subsequent nights. That means fans will have to go to 2 shows if they want to see the entire set. Fans have been speculating about Metallica playing the Sphere for months. Drummer Lars Ulrich says he wanted to perform there since seeing U2 do it in 2023. Tickets for the shows go on sale March 6th. That's all for Chabot News this week. Thank you to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/ChabotTV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 on Comcast for more Chabot TV.